record. And I'm going to share my screen as well. So I know a lot of us are off to a running start this morning already in PLC meetings and have lots of things on our plate. So I want to make sure that this chunk of time is meaningful for all of you. So our goals today are to collaborate with our grade level or grade band PLC members and share, this is based on some of your interests from last session, some resource and platform ideas, and mostly examples of in-home learning experiences that we can provide for HiCap students or students who have similar areas of strength and how they can address their student plan goals. And by sharing those examples, our hope is to be able to have you consider, or we can collaborate to create some in-home learning examples for highly capable students as well. So we're gonna start by having a just conversation with each other. And you can use the chat feature that we introduced last time with Zoom, or if you want to share using the video feature, you can share too. What's one thing that you secretly pleased about not having to do now that we're social distancing? And as you're ready to share, you can use the chat or you can speak aloud too. So we don't have to be in traffic. We don't have to get ready in the morning. Sleeping in a little. Walking the dog or in the dark, so having some daylight to enjoy instead of coming home in the dark. Getting some more exercise, I agree with that. Something for me that I secretly am enjoying is I can eat breakfast in my home rather than in my car or at my desk. Less running from thing to thing, getting to wear comfy clothes. I see the timeline theme of like a little bit more paced to my liking. So I'm glad that we're finding some space for ourselves to be able to feel a little less stress with timelines, a little bit less stress with testing, and being able to look forward to spending time outside, getting more activity for ourselves too, a little bit more at our own pace. Candace says not feeling pressure to sign up for extracurricular things. That too. I'm thinking of Gretchen with her baseball kiddos and running and running and running. So now that we've had an opportunity to connect with each other, we're going to continue to move forward with our time together and looking at some examples of in-home learning for highly capable students or those with like strengths in a couple different content areas. And so just a reminder of our virtual collaboration norms, both on Zoom and in conversations. So I'll just have you take a quick minute to remind yourselves of those. If there's any that feel like they're missing, please let me know and we can add those also. If those look good to you, if you could just show me a thumbs up, that'd be great. So we're going to split the kind of reviewing and digging into the examples in 2 phases. So the first part, we're going to take a look at a literacy example together, and then I'm going to try something new as a learner, take a risk in using the breakout rooms for us to be able to look at some math and science examples also, and you'll have some time to, I'll share the links to the activities to look at them closely, and then we'll come back around to share what we noticed. So based on your feedback last time, there was some interest in being able to look at some examples of what learning might look like for highly capable students during in-home learning. So I'm going to share kind of the design process of this task, and then I'll share some of the videos that went along with it that I created, and we'll have some time to ask questions about it too. So when I was designing this opportunity for students, I started by thinking about the enduring concepts that are listed on Canvas and thinking about what are the skills that kids are really going to need longevity-wise, and that work's already been done for us. So you can see those at the bottom of the screen for each grade level. And then I went back to some progression documents that are available on the Heinemann website through units of study and tried to match them up according to the skills that kids would be practicing. The next step in that design process was trying to think about how can I package the learning for students in a way that's small chunks that could also be potentially stretched out over the course of a week. And so I went to Jennifer Saravallo's Reading Strategies book, but you don't have to go there. You could go to Units of Study too and use the content there, or another resource that you've been using as well. It was just one place that I went because it was a short chunk that was connected to the skills and the enduring concepts that were addressed on the progression and in Canvas. Any questions about that piece, kind of designing it up front? I'm going to take quiet as no. Cool. So the next piece I'll show you is a mini lesson that I put together. So I'm going to click here and we'll watch it together. I used Google Slides this time around rather than PowerPoint intentionally because I used Screencastify to record the videos. And with Screencastify, it's easy to embed the videos into Google Slides because Screencastify talks to Google. So I'm going to show you that. And while you're watching, I'm totally open to feedback and what you notice about it provided as well. Granted, I have never been a primary teacher, so I am totally open to learning this.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome back. Earlier this year, we learned how to grow ideas as readers, and we're going to continue practicing these skills with our independent reading books this week. When I read, even just one picture or page can make me have a lot of ideas or questions. Sometimes I think up answers to those questions, or sometimes I find them in the text. Today, I want to teach you that readers grow ideas by asking questions about what they read and read on to possibly find the answers. While I've been reading at home, I've been interested in learning more about different kinds of animals. I've been most interested in penguins lately, and I want you to help me learn some more about them today. Let's take a look at this first page together. Wow, where are they? Before I start reading this page, I notice there is a lot going on here. There's a lot of penguin icons all over this map of the world. And I noticed the penguins are in different places than I would expect them to be. There's penguins over near South America. Are there really penguins that live near South America? I thought they only lived in the Arctic. I'm going to write that down as a question that I have. Are there penguins that live near South America? And I hope to find the answer as I read on. So now as I'm reading the text, I'm going to learn some more about penguins. All penguins live between the equator and the South Pole. Some live where it is very cold. Some live in warmer places like the coasts of Africa and Australia. Penguins live on islands, on coasts, and even on icebergs in the sea. They just need to be near water because they spend most of their time in the water. Oh, now I see. Penguins live in both warm and cool water, so the map and the placement of the penguins makes sense. But I have another question. How is what they eat different based upon where they live in warmer or cooler water? I'm going to jot that down. Let's go to the next page. Ooh, interesting picture. Now as I read, their black backs make them hard to see from above. Their light bellies make them hard to see from below. but it's their strong, solid flippers that help them escape predators and get where they want to go. I noticed that the penguins are colored similarly to orcas. Orcas are black on top and white on the bottom. Are they colored in this way to escape predators too? I thought orcas didn't have any predators, so I'm going to write that question down. I also have another question that I'm wondering. Do other animals have colors that help keep them safe from predators too? I don't think I'm going to find the answer to that question in this book because it's specifically about penguins, but I wonder if I could do some more research later. So see how I asked questions as I read my book and found some of their answers? As you read your independent reading books this week, remember that good readers grow ideas by asking questions and sometimes finding their answers. And make sure that you're ready to share at least one of the questions and their answer if you found it during our conference this week. See you soon.
Oops, sorry, I went forward before I wanted to. Any questions or feedback for me with the video that was provided? Yeah. So the hope was that you're providing students with a snippet of something that is skills that they could use at a different level of book or text that they're using. And they could practice that, and then you can circle back around to them and provide feedback based upon the questions that they asked or the things that they jotted down at a conference that you're having with them or as you're checking in with them. Just 1 second, my 3-year-old is checking in with me. Yes, Mia, mommy's teaching right now. Okay, you're gonna have to wait. Thank you. So that's the hope. And so the other thing that we wanted to provide an example of today was that it doesn't have to be a daily activity that we're providing for students, but that we could also provide something that's stretched out over multiple days. So the mini lesson example that I provided was an example that had kids just jotting down questions that they had as readers, but that could also be extended to forming questions from their ideas. Which could then go into like taking notes also, or doing some writing about reading. That are also some strategy lessons that are in the Sarah Vallow book. It doesn't have to go this direction, but it would be something that could kind of build over the course of days based upon that one skill that you're teaching in that one day. Any questions about how that kind of got put together? And the hope is that I know we have K1 and 2 teachers as our audience. So the progression that was used to put it together looked at skills that was on the 2-3. So wondering if students that are more advanced as readers, if that would be a good place for them to start. So that's kind of the rationale behind where we started. Does this look similar to things that you and your team are putting together? Does it feel like it would fit with what you're providing as a part of in-home learning?
I think it sounds really great. It's definitely not something that most of my kids could access. Mm-hmm. So I would have to do it individually with my kiddo.
Yeah. Thank you for that, Julie.
So I don't have, so things that I'm thinking about multiple things. Like I really like this idea. So I don't have any of like my writing and my reading strategy books. They're all at school. Okay. All of my curriculum is basically at school. And then I'm also thinking like, are we like for our in-home learning, and it's this back and forth thing and it's not very clear. It's like, are we supposed to be teaching new stuff or are we just supposed to be revisiting things? And I feel like we're not being told that we should be teaching new things, but it goes like, but I feel like it's being implied, but no one ever says, you're supposed to be required to be teaching new things. And so I feel like it just, no matter who's telling me what, it's always like very unclear, and they're trying to like push you to do new learning without saying it. And then when I ask, it's like, well, I mean, you can do what you like, but then every time we're learning about any new thing, it's like new tech that we should be doing, new lessons that we should be doing, and checking out all of these things. So I guess I'm just kind of confused. I don't know what other buildings are being heard. I know that for a lot of parents already right now, like they're feeling super overwhelmed. And so to put something, which this is really great, but to put something out like this is going to basically have the parents having to sit and do all of the stuff, which is kind of what they're not wanting at this point. And so I'm not trying to open a can of worms and start this whole thing. I feel like I keep getting the same things, and I see some shaking heads. And so I just kind of like to hear, like, I love this idea, and I have done some reading strategy stuff, but from what I'm hearing from parents is they don't want stuff like this right at the moment. They're feeling overwhelmed. They're trying to teach more than one child and work from home. And so, first grade, they have to sit one-on-one with them a lot of the time to get things done. And so I don't know.
We found that we had to like take our reading lessons, and while incorporating some of the enduring concepts, we were also kind of caught by surprise, Katie, with the whole, when did it all of a sudden switch over to new learning? Because it was like somebody had said it in a meeting and we're like, wait, time out, when did that happen? So it wasn't super clear, but my understanding is we are supposed to go to new learning, and it's on the enduring concepts that are on Canvas for each grade level. So, but what we have found is that we've had to provide in our lesson the read aloud, that we're basically reading a story and then the students are responding in some way to it. We have not really gone into the Lucy lessons as much, just because it kind of expects that then they're just going to independently go and pick a book out of Mayan or off their shelf if they have one or something. And I think the feedback we also got from parents was that it was just overwhelming to have these little kids going in lots of different tabs and places for their work, and typing is an issue for them.
Yeah. Okay, so that's kind of what we're doing too.
Yeah, I forget. Like, it's so second nature to type. Yeah.
We have videos of books.
Yeah.
That are being read to them, and then they have a menu of different items that are hitting those different.
Yeah.
So of activities.
But I do think like this would work really well with, like, if you could somehow do what you did, Kelly, with a Screencastify or something, and almost like put it out there as like, if you want something more, and not just to the HiCap kiddos, because maybe there's some other kiddos who would like to assess it or access it. So anyways, that was my only idea.
Yeah, and so I saw, Gretchen, you had a question too about, would that be in addition to home learning or as an example for in-home learning? So I think it could be in addition, or it could be like for a small group of students, depending on what, I don't want to, the intent is not to confuse families or for them to feel overwhelmed, just provide an option of how meeting students' needs could look, either in tandem or alongside what you're already providing, but not meant to be an overwhelm. And so I think, Katie, your question about in-home learning was already clarified around. It sounds like the purpose of the enduring concepts is to kind of provide a guide of what we should be doing for the remainder of the year. And some of that may, depending on where people were paced, may have already been covered, or it may be new. Like when I look at the math Canvas page with enduring concepts, there's things that Ivan has specifically pointed out that like Bridges wouldn't have gotten to it yet, based upon where pacing was.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
And one thing I would say too, when thinking about this, like I know that Kelly gave a bunch of different options, but I'm wondering how we make it easier for parents by saying, like, when you're reading with kids, having them ask questions, and like that's the thing. Like for the week, that's the thing that they're doing, and it can be any book that they're reading at home, and maybe providing something for them that they can use, like if they're not able to access books at home or text. And then, you know, I mean, there are those parents who are wanting other things to do with their kids. You could talk about note taking or about like forming ideas from those questions, like some of these on here. You don't necessarily have to go down that path. And I think too, like in looking at these books, these are lessons, yeah, you would do if the kids were in the classroom. Doing them online and then having the kid go do them independently is not really realistic for most families. So thinking about like, how could it be stretched into maybe baby steps throughout the week that they could do anytime? Like it doesn't necessarily have to be on a certain day. I just keep thinking about you guys planning these lessons and different things for the whole week and just trying to take that load off of like, I have to have something every day versus I could do this thing that's longer. So I know that can seem a little overwhelming, but just know like you could break off as many parts as you felt necessary or not. And if anyone lives close by, I have multiple copies of Reading and Writing Strategies if you want to borrow them. If anyone lives in the Renton Highlands, I'm happy to run you a copy if you need it. So, and we have more at Keck, and I can go grab those too and help. Like if you want to use them, just know that don't feel like you're stuck on this island where you can't get things. We're happy to help you with it. So, and now I'm done with my rant.
Thanks, Candace. Same for myself. If you need resources, I'm happy to go there too. And I don't know what the availability of like open hours is for each building. I know they're trying to keep, you know, the number of people out, and some are more strict about no one in or out, and some are letting them in as long as you give a call. So if you feel like it would be worth it for the next, you know, month and a half to have something at your home, it might be worth a check-in to see if that works for your schedule. So that is one example, not the way, but a way that you could package in home learning, the thought of trying to have something over the course of multiple days. And so we're gonna break into breakout rooms. And in the breakout rooms, I'm gonna share with you a link to both a math and a science example that are structured kind of similarly, just for you to think about a way to structure that. Again, it's not the way, just a way. Trying to think about how we provide opportunities for kids to dig into something that could last over the course of a week, investigating something similar over the course of the week, connected to those enduring concepts or progression documents that have been provided in the content areas. So I'm gonna I'm going to stop my share for a minute. And so I'm gonna send you into breakout rooms, and it should give you a room. It should have a screen that pops up, or a menu box that pops up on your screen to go to that breakout room with a couple other people. And I'll put the links in for you to take a look at. And if we can take about 10 minutes to explore, you can explore them on both this like the same content area, or you can explore on your own, just having some conversations together about what you see, and then we'll come back together to unpack that. Clarifying questions before we split off? Okay.
Ellie, I'm wondering if I should be in the other one. Do you want to put me in, or are you going to switch back and forth?
I'll switch back and forth. I just came over here to put it in the chat.
Sounds good.
Oh, got a glimpse into my life.
How's everyone else doing? Gretchen, Katie, you okay?
Yeah.
Yeah. Ready for June 19th?
You guys see the links in the chat?
Kind of.
Not yet.
No?
Nope. No.
Okay. Okay. That was weird. It just went to me.
Oh.
Okay. Let's try this. I don't know why I put it there like 4
There you
times.
go.
Yeah. Yes.
I appreciate your bravery.
Yeah.
I'm
Now I'm
trying all
gonna
these
try
things.
and go to the other one.
Yeah.
Okay, see you.
Yeah.
Bye.
I think is appealing, the decision.
Oh.
So potentially 3.
Potentially 3. And the one appealing really should appeal, so
Cool.
I think it'll be 3.
That's nice to have. Okay. So we're looking at these links here.
Yes.
I can't hear you.
Sorry. Yes. Should we look at the math one first?
Sounds good to me. Do we want to maybe one of us share a screen and look at it together?
You betcha, Julie.
All right.
Groups of 5s or 10s.
Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Oops.
How many slides altogether, Julie?
Let me just find out. 4.
Oh, okay.
I think 4. Access the web page. Where's the video? Oh.
Hello, YouTube at Home friends. This is Monse from the YouTube content team, and today I'm going to tell you about NIM games, which are a type of mathematical game that has been around for centuries.
Everything going okay?
We were just looking at like reading the directions, and then we were going to look at the video
Sure.
and then connect. So
Okay, all right. I was trying to hop back and forth to make sure that I could support in both places, so I'll help
Yeah.
out.
last one wins. And then how does that change the game? So we wanted to share with you just all of these different variations.
Skipping forward, sorry.
That's okay.
So the last one to take a jelly bean wins or loses. Then you have to take a certain number and it has to all be from the same pile.
Right, and that's some of what can be varied that can create some level of complexity within it.
Okay, that makes sense. Problem is the kids are by themselves.
Yeah, I think that could be true in some homes if they don't have a parent or sibling to do also. Maybe I wonder if you could present like the arrangement and they could do some of the moves like the player 1 and player 2 and kind of talk about that piece. I mean, it's not going to be as like back and forth with partners, but I wonder if they could get to some of the similar thinking.
Mm-hmm. You could space it over like a week and they do a move, you do a move, they do a move, you do a move each day or something. It'd take forever, but.
Wasn't enough, then you would lose or win, depending on which way you decided to do it. And then the hope is that eventually they'd come up with some sort of strategy to figure out like what sort of pattern they would use to take those. Kelly, you might be able to explain a little bit more about the game, like sort of what, like who wins, who loses in the end kind of thing.
So the kind of cool thing about the NIM games is that it could be varied. So the kind of original version starts with just like 7 pieces in a group. And you take turns one at a time and you can take 1 or 2. And the last person to take an object loses. But if you play around with like that initial version, you can create larger collections. You can change or vary the amount of items that can be taken at one time. And the hope is that kids can look for patterns, or like Candace, I heard the tail end of what Candace was saying with strategy, that can be provided to be able to be more successful. Is there one way that's easier or harder for them to be able to play?
Mm-hmm.
Katie, what were you thinking?
Well, I didn't get to the video to actually watch the kids play the game or whatever, so I just kind of got through the explanation, which I think I would just encourage parents to like use the guiding questions if they're playing it with their kids, and just kind of give them the questions that they do, and just and like switching up the rules a lot too, I guess. And to maybe like compare like the rule, like if you want to take the last
You know, like they're studying a social issue or they're studying a country or whatever.
Okay.
She was born in Bosnia anyway, and so they have like a lot of connections to other parts of the world. So they're just kind of doing their own independent study type stuff, which is really cool, but they're not sharing it with me. So I don't have any way to say like, hey, this is a great way to push her forward, or like to give her feedback or anything.
Mm-hmm.
That's what my Stefan is doing as well. So, I mean, like they don't want to get onto iReady to do reading or math. or to do any of the lessons that we've been providing. They just want to get on Khan Academy. And then when you went on to iReady, first it was, oh, this is too easy, Miss Strong, and then we did a growth monitoring, and so that adjusted his, pacing. And now he's at 5th grade, and he was into the decimals. And then she's like, oh, this is too hard. He doesn't want to do any of this because it's too hard. And I'm like, okay, so either we're going to push and have some perseverance, or we're just going to make it always easy for Stefan. Yeah.
It's
I don't know.
definitely
It's been
a
an
dilemma.
interesting walk for 3 years with them. So I'm going to be kind of happy to say hasta luego.
Are you sticking with your same grade level next year?
Yes, she has me staying, and it's kind of nice. Since this administrator has been in the building, I have moved every year. So that's
miserable.
And 3 different grade levels.
Kelly, we're just looking at the science stuff right now.
Okay, I'll pop back out.
Do you want us to look at the actual video?
It's up to you. You can, explore. So Kelly did like a screencastify thing where she explained what they were going to do, but then you could also just look at the video on the science.
See you back in the main session in a couple minutes.
Okay.
A lot of sense to just include that.
And our team has been embedding those into Google Forms, and so if that's how we see who's been doing what.
Oh, nice.
Oh.
So it's usually like a video or a reading, or I've been doing the math, and so there's some kind of counting collection thing, and then they have to go and do it on the Google's a form. So that's been working.
Cool. We have all of ours on a Google site. And so we literally, every lesson, we have Monday and then all of Monday's lessons, Tuesday, and on and on. But each lesson is a video, and we're just throughout the video, pause, pause to do this, then push play, pause and do this, and at the end of the video, when you're done, click the timer to start your reading time. So they're clicking through videos the whole time, but we can't see who's participating and who isn't.
Right.
Which is challenging.
Yeah, we did that too, and then we kind of evolved into having that form so we could see. We have about 40 kids a thing are participating, and it's
I will, Kelly, can you teach us how to do those breakout rooms? Is that a yes, or was that a? Okay.
Sorry, Mia, my 3-year-old, is joining me, so I was trying to.
Oh, and he's got a boo-boo.
Yeah, we had an adventure last night. She fell off our porch, and we went to the ER for some stitches, so we had fun.
Oh. Oh.
But yes,
She's got a big smile.
What's that?
Oh, we were all ohing, and she got a huge smile on her face.
Yeah, she still thinks it was kind of cool because she got a popsicle and got to eat like graham crackers for dinner. But yes, I can show you how to do the breakout rooms.
Great, thank you.
You have to go into your, let me see if I can share my screen. I'll go to browser.
I didn't know we had that feature, so I tried, and it said to enter in your credit card, and I thought, never mind.
Oh.
Won't go that way.
Yeah, you just have to make sure that you've selected it in settings, which I think is what Kelly's going to show you now. And then you'll have this extra button that comes up that has the 4 little breakout room squares, and you'll be able to either put people, like assign people beforehand, or you can do it like in the middle of the meeting if you have a small group.
Okay, so I was trying to get together and have a young author's writing time that they could all share what they've been writing in fairy tales and stuff.
Oh, that would be cool.
Yeah. So, and then I was going to get my teammates to be in each of the rooms, or at least ahead of time get some of my parents to like monitor. But
yeah. And that's something that I'm happy to help with too, be in a breakout room. Like I've been a body in a middle school breakout room also. So let me know if you need that.
Okay.
Also.
So if you
also,
go to,
I think,
oh, go ahead.
Sorry. I think your specialists would also really love to be invited. I know I was just talking to our librarian and music teacher, and they're like, please, we don't get to see kids. They'd like that too.
Yes, every Tuesday and Thursday, I get together with my students and we read a book. I read a book to them and then we talk. So we are on for an hour every Tuesdays, but they come frequently. They like being there. I agree. Gretchen.
So with your question, to get into to set up the breakout room, so I just signed into zoom.com and I signed in with my username and passwords. So I found out that I had 2 different accounts. So just know that you're like using your school one versus another one. But if you go into settings, I'm gonna have to scroll. Sorry if you're getting dizzy as I'm scrolling down the page. So there'll be a breakout room option, and you just have to click to turn it on. And then I click the allow host to assign participants, because like today I just had them automatically assign your rooms. Or you could also do it manually. So if you had a particular way you wanted to group the participants, you could group them in a specific way.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Head back to the chat.
Gretchen, I just responded to you with your question. I'm not sure if it records breakout rooms. I haven't recorded mine because I'm working with teachers. I hope I don't have to. But I know that if you're recording the whole thing, it should record the breakout rooms, but I haven't seen if there's like an actual button that you click to make sure it does that, but I can look at the settings and see and get that answer for you. I'm not sure.
So any other noticings or wonderings, I'm going to stop my share, that you had as you had conversations about the examples, and how that might fit into in-home learning that you're already providing? No questions.
Our group talked about for the math game, like just it being really fun and it's something kind of different. And Candace even said something like, do it for the week. And then just like we could just like post the guiding questions to encourage them to like think of it different ways. And something that's not so like sit one-on-one with your kid while they're trying to do Dreambox, or have them do 3 pieces of math questions, or, you know, a paper. So just something kind of fun, engaging, kind of a good change from some of the things that we've been doing.
Thanks,
and it's nice because it can be really differentiated for all the kids to do. So even like your kids who aren't maybe necessarily as strong in math, they could do it too.
Yeah, Julie made a good point about the same. There was a conversation, I said, and with their breakout room too, is like, well, what if they're alone at home, and how could we provide access for kids to the thinking with the game too? So Julie, did you want to talk about kind of what you thought about?
Yeah, so we had a couple different ideas, but one would be that the kid could just play on both sides, like they could play against himself. But also if you had your little piles made and you took a picture of it, then you could send it to the kid and have them make a move and then send it back to you and you make a move. So like you would only end up doing 1 or 2 moves every day, but it could be just a week-long activity between you and your student.
Any other wonderings or noticings from what you saw?
Julie, you could almost even do that on a Google slide, because then, you know, it would go back and forth instead of having to take pictures if you had access to that.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
So hopefully the examples provided provide some additional something that you're like, oh, I could try this out, or this aligns with what I'm already doing, some confirmation, because it sounds like there's just as much information as there is out there for families, there is for you. And I know for us, sometimes it gets really muddy about what we're doing now, yesterday, and in 3 weeks from now. So hopefully provided some help. It's not the way, but a way. And then for our next session, is there anything that you're kind of having at top of mind about what might be helpful as a springboard from this? Some topic you'd like to have conversation about?
I think one of the things on my mind, just because I think it's a natural thing at this time of year, is to be thinking about next year and knowing that most likely the fall won't look, you know, like what we're used to. At least that's the feeling.
Yeah.
And so kind of thinking not only how we wrap up this year and like what are our responsibilities as being the cluster grouping teacher, you know, as far as paperwork or anything, but also thinking about next year and what are some ways to start the year off so that you are meeting some of those requirements, but also trying to figure out what the giftings that each of those kids have and how you can meet those possibly remotely or however it's going to look. I don't know.
Thank you, Gretchen. So trying to figure out how we kind of assess where kids are at to be able to meet their needs.
One thing that's
and what meeting them needs will be like too. You know, what are some ideas when you don't know? Like it's different right now because we know these kids, we've known them since the beginning of the year, and possibly next year, you know, we'll just have what somebody else can tell us about them, but also won't have that relationship piece, I guess, as such.
Any other thoughts? Yep.
And a thought to like prepare for next year's teacher with maybe like a common form that we all fill out of like the students' strengths and like goals that we had for them this year of what they were working on, so they can kind of know where to start, like, you know, and so not like just like a blank canvas type of thing, might as well like just keep them, you know, moving forward. And it's always helpful if we all have the same form, you know, not having to like reinvent the wheel or anything. So, yeah, that's always nice.
So thinking about how we assess and meet students' needs, knowing that we may not, or probably going to be potentially a mixture of virtual and in person, or just virtual, not knowing what that's going to look like. And then also some kind of form or structure system that we can share information with the next year's teacher. Any additional examples or types of resources that may be helpful for you? I know you're probably swimming in lots of things right now, so I don't want to overwhelm, but just trying to gauge how we could best support you.
I like thinking about how we can do like with the math thing today, and like how we can think of an activity that's something that they could do for the entire week, and like having an extension with that kind of makes things seem more doable, like instead of thinking of 5 activities, you know, 1 for every day. And so thinking of something that they can build off of for the week, like even the lesson that you did with the reading with the note taking and stuff, maybe how they can like build off that skill for the week of like writing about their questions and looking for answers and whatnot. So just activities like that.
Okay, so thank you so much for your time and energy today. Enjoy the rest of your day and your week, and please let us know if there's anything else we can do to support you. And we're so thankful for everything that you're doing for students and families. We know it's not easy given the times that we're in, so thank you. See you next time.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Hey.
Hi. I was hoping you got my message, Kelly,
did.
to not end the meeting.
So
let me stop recording.